I think it should go. So thank you both, Karen, Christina, for leading this transfer workshop, kind of talking about mindfulness as well as resources and support in the University Counseling Center. So thank you so much and feel free to take it away. And then if you need screen sharing, I will make you co-host.
Perfect. Yeah, so I thought we could just start off today with a mindfulness exercise to get us grounded into this space. So if people want to go ahead and get into a seated position, I recommend kind of both feet on the floor to be able to ground yourself. And go ahead and let your eyes either close or you can look downwards so you're not distracted by things during this exercise. Once you settle into that space, we're going to go ahead and, with this exercise, just stop and take a moment to pause during the day. So go ahead and take a few intentional breaths, just noticing the air as it enters and leaves your body. Perhaps you notice the movements of your ribs or stomach as it expands and contracts. Just notice the effect of the breath. Without judgment or an analysis of what's wrong, just begin to observe your thoughts. Perhaps you're noticing thoughts about a situation in your life, about your plans for later today, or even this exercise. Whatever it might be, just observe those thoughts. I invite you to shift your awareness now to observe the physical sensations in and on your body. Just observe how your body feels in this moment. Perhaps you're noticing a lightness or heaviness of the body, areas of tension or relaxation. Just take a moment to observe. Begin to shift your awareness to observe any and all emotions. Notice what emotions are coming up for you in this moment. Perhaps it's a feeling, a color, a sensation like hot, cold. Observe whatever emotions are coming up. Now I invite you to shift your awareness to observe your energy or spirit. Perhaps you're feeling tired, energetic, hopeful. See what your energy is telling you today. Whenever you're ready, shift that awareness to the present moment. Take another deep breath and open your eyes with a soft gaze. We're going to proceed with awareness into this presentation today. So that's a little taste of mindfulness. Hopefully that was a relaxing moment or just a moment to check in with yourself. We're here today to talk a little bit about counseling services at the center. And I think a good way to maybe start with that is to hear a little bit about what you all know about mental health, especially mental health of college students. Like, what are some things you may have heard?
And as transfer students, and by the way, thank you for that, Christina. I realize I don't do that enough, even though I know that mindfulness and just taking a moment is a huge piece of it's foundational for mental health. But is there a way, Paul, that we could see who else is in the non-virtual room, or is the camera fixed and we can't see who else is in the physical space?
Oh, it's pretty fixed, but we have a student here with us. This is one of the smaller right now, but hopefully people come back and watch it. But the question was kind of, what do you think about mental health? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah.
Crucial.
So I don't know if you could hear, she said it was crucial.
Crucial. Yeah. Yeah.
Very true. Mhm.
And how do you know when you're mentally healthy?
Feeling present in the moment, being able to be aware, not feeling reactive, just responding from a place of compassion and empathy instead of responding egotistically and erratically.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then what's the difference between mental health and mental illness to people?
Any of our Zoom participants want to speak up or type in the chat?
Mhm.
I think mental illness more creates a problem. It's more stopping you from doing whatever you're trying to achieve instead of just having you make it difficult, I guess.
Thanks. And your name is Barrett? Thanks.
Of course.
Yeah, but that's a great point of that it can really lead to challenges in your life. Robert, were you going to add something to that?
Yeah, I was. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just like everyone has mental health, but not everyone has mental illness. And so kind of like what Barrett was saying, mental illness can kind of prevent you from doing things, but it's nothing that we always have control over, especially if you are specifically diagnosed with mental illness. And so just kind of making that distinction there between the two. But yes, everyone has mental health that needs to be that they need to be aware of and kind of watch it, just because it does fluctuate, especially as a college student.
Yep. And thank you for explicitly stating that difference, because those of us who have a mental illness or some sort of cognitive condition, and full disclosure, I live with ADHD, and it's wonderful knowing that, because when I didn't know it, I ended up with a mental illness of depression because I thought, what's wrong with me? I can't, time doesn't make sense. Why can't I do things? And then once I learned, oh, I have a condition that I've been living with, my mental illness, I was lucky enough that my mental illness of depression actually healed. And I don't need to treat the mental illness of depression anymore, but I do need to be aware that I could get that again. But some people do have depression and can still have relatively good mental health while living with a mental illness. And that's why, Robert, you picked up on my tricky question of, is there a difference between mental health and mental illness? And you're right. Ideally, we can all enjoy mental health, even with all of these different conditions that we're in right now, right? And what is the name, Paul, of the person that's in your physical space?
My name's Ash.
She said Ash.
Ash, okay, because I don't want to ignore you, Ash, just because I can't see you.
Yeah, but these are great points of like the areas of even resilience or strengths that have helped us to get to this point in our lives, because y'all have been successful in being able to transfer to this university. So there must have been some things that have kind of helped you along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here today to talk a bit about services, so I can kind of jump into that. I did find a slide about our services, Karen, so I'll go ahead and share that.
Perfect.
Yeah, looks like I can share my screen, but I'll talk through it too for Ash, who may or may not be able to see the screen. I'm not sure.
We have
Yes.
it set up so they can
Oh,
see.
perfect. Great. I'm glad to hear that. So some of the services that are offered at the counseling center, one is just individual therapy. So you have up to 12 sessions there. We also have group therapy, which we have found to be even more effective than individual therapy in many cases. So also another great option at the center. There's also medication services, assessment services, crisis services, and being able to work with therapists in the community too. We can help set you up and figure out those steps to connect with someone in the community if that feels like a better option for you. With all of these services, the greatest way to get connected with them is to just simply call our front desk. You don't have to know exactly what service you're looking for. That's our job to help kind of point out that piece for you with our awareness of those services. So you'd simply call the front desk, ask to book an initial appointment, and you'd meet with a therapist to be able to talk about your concerns and the best services available for you. One of the great things about this counseling center, which isn't true about every counseling center, is that there's no wait list. So as soon as you call, you're able to book that first appointment. There might be a bit of a wait for that first appointment, but there's no wait list. You're able to schedule that right away. Another thing I wanted to mention is the Mindfulness Center, which I think is another great resource available for students. So, kind of how we practice today is a mindfulness exercise to get us started. The Mindfulness Center has drop in meditation, so you can keep practicing those, take a break in your day to practice some mindfulness and have that guided meditation time. There's also resources so you can, practice mindfulness or other kind of coping skills and self-care strategies on your own time because you're busy college students. You have other things to manage, and sometimes attending a workshop doesn't really work with your schedule. And then we also have more kind of focused workshops. So, for instance, a self-compassion workshop for BIPOC students. We have the Feel Better Now workshops, which is a great way to gain some coping skills for anxiety, depression, or that thing all college students face, which is stress. That workshop could be really great for that as well. And then there are plenty of other offerings for the counseling center. Is there anything you'd add to that, Karen?
No, and I love how you emphasize that you can just go onto our website at any time and click into different services that are available online because, each of you is a transfer student. That's right? Where have you each transferred from?
You want to say where they transferred from?
Mm-hmm.
Like community college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I transferred from Utah State.
Okay, so from up north down a little bit to here. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
I also transferred from Salt Lake Community College.
Mhm, mhm. And so each of you has already had at least one semester elsewhere. And what differences or similarities have you noticed as far as navigating that stress that Christina mentioned is so normal? Like, is it easier here? And if so, what makes it easier? Is it more challenging? Do you feel more stressed out at the U? What have your experiences been so far?
So far for me, so I did my associate's degree at Salt Lake Community College. And so, and with it being still really early in the semester here, my first semester here at the U. So one thing that I have noticed, which is kind of opposite from what you hear versus a university and a community college, is I feel like my professors that I have this semester are a little more connected with the students, even though there's like maybe 3-4 times as many students. And that kind of relieves a little bit of stress where I'm like, okay, well, it encourages me to reach out if I have any questions or if I'm confused on something or don't know how to navigate the course or anything like that. That's something that I've noticed the difference between the two.
And that'll definitely enhance mental health. Being able to be connected, especially to your instructors. So I'm glad you brought that one up. You know, and I'm going to share my screen as well and show you another resource. Let's see. And so if you go to the Student Affairs website, they've got, so you go to Student Affairs, and then their first little thing on their banner is the student mental health resources. And this has everything on campus. So you can see that the counseling and mindfulness, we're of course first, and I'm not just, we're just happen to be the first, probably alphabetical order. But there are other places on campus that you can access, like the Women's Resource Center. So I'm trying to see. In other words, the counseling center is just one aspect of wellness. If you do live with some sort of disability, and that could even be something like ADHD, which can be quite disabling for people, especially if you haven't had it treated, you know, go to the Center for Disability and Access, the Center for Student Wellness. All of these work along with what we offer. Financial wellness. You can go to the Dean of Students. If you are a veteran, you can go to the Veteran Support Center. If you have been assaulted, you can seek support through advocacy. And then there are some other resources, but I wanted to introduce you to this because don't feel like that we're the only deal. We're a really important piece of mental health on campus, but there are other places as well. The Women's Resource Center, and you can click on any of these, it'll take you right to these links. There's the Behavioral Health Innovation and Dissemination Center. It's another place that offers counseling. And this is for the entire community. So if you know somebody in your family or a friend group who's not a student at the U and you're concerned about their mental health, you can tell them about this. And let's click on this together. How fun. How pretty. So you see they have some other resources that you can access for mental health. There's also the Utah Community Mental Health Clinic. Again, this can be useful for anybody in the community. So if you do get into us and find that it's a really long wait list, once you're in, do not hesitate to access any of these other resources that are right on campus. Want to make sure I cover. Oh yeah, and if you live on campus, you can access MH1, which provides after hours treatment. Although I'm a really late night owl, and so this is like a normal hours treatment for me if I were a student. There are apps that you can access 24/7, have access to a counselor. You can also get training. But anyway, there's just a lot of really cool resources on campus. And we have another person that joined us virtually. Paul, are there more people that have joined us in?
Yeah. We have another person in person as well.
Awesome. See, and this is what I find challenging because for me, I love when we're all in the same room, so to speak, but that's just me. But at this point, are there any specific questions that Christina or I can answer?
Any questions in person or virtually? I can start off with a question because I know sometimes it gets hard to start off. I haven't actually been to the Mindfulness Center since COVID happened. And so I know there's like on the website, you can listen along, but what are some, do you have, is it open in person or, so it's just the website?
Yeah, yeah. Right
you-
now it is just online. Yeah. And we used to have massage chairs, the really nice kind that get your whole body, but those are, they say they're closed right now, although they're out in the main areas in the student services building. So I guess nobody would really know if you used it, or maybe the little remote isn't there. But yeah, as we're adapting to more of a hybrid or virtual type of environment, we're figuring out how to transfer our services to best meet the needs. Yeah.
Thanks for that info. Would you mind showing the students, if they're not familiar, where they can like listen to the mindfulness recordings? I don't believe.
Yeah. Let me go to the counseling center.
Have either used the,
I've never been on there.
so the people in person haven't been on the website.
Okay, perfect. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so you can see that our counseling center website is just counselingcenter.utah.edu. And once you're there, you can go right into services. And if you were interested, let's just say on the Mindfulness Center, then you'd click there. And it's really cool because what is mindfulness? Basically, it's just being here now in a non-judgmental way. And then if you wanted to practice mindfulness right now, it can walk you through the different postures. But basically what is important is just noticing what's going on with you right now. And then as judgments come up, just notice like, oh, judgment is here. I notice I'm judging myself without analyzing it. Oh, I notice now I want to analyze it because Karen said without analyzing it. So it is just really being present. And a lot of times in mindfulness, we encourage people to pay attention to their breathing because that can serve as an anchor to bring you into the here and now. But you don't have to use your breathing necessarily. You could also use a word. Some people concentrate like on a word. The stereotypical one is to say om, which is like that universal sound, but you could use om, or you can use every time I get distracted, I'm going to focus on my pinky, whatever it is that can bring you into this present moment. So there are also guided meditations right on our website. There's one called Wellness Beyond Whiteness. Alternate nostril breathing. Body scan for burnout. I think I need to do that one, Christina. What do you think?
Sounds like it could be helpful for me too.
Yeah. Meditation on fear, discrimination, and violence. So there's a bunch of guided meditations. Rain meditation, that makes me think of Tara Brach, who, the rain meditation is very cool. Has anybody here heard of Tara Brach?
Oh, Ash said yes.
Yeah, I love Tara Brach almost as much as I love you, Paul. So she's competition there. But you can see that there are a bunch of different guided meditations that you can access at any hour of the day. And then Christina had mentioned the Feel Better Now workshops. And it looks like there are some of the different exercises that you learn in the workshops right here. And so you can gain, and then here's more just relaxation and mindfulness exercises. So that's one of the services. And then if you wanted to register for a workshop, you could do that. Wait, okay, this is an old banner, so you could just ignore that. That's like from 2020, it looks like. But these are the, this is how you would register for a workshop, Feel Better Now workshop. Let me go back to the counseling center. So another service that we have is group counseling. And the reason I really want to highlight group is that through connecting with others, that just can really improve our own well-being. And for example, this morning I woke up feeling pretty stressed out, but we had a staff meeting, and even though I'm not a fan of early morning meetings, it felt wonderful just to connect with my peers. And so as you find spaces on campus, and I would encourage you to try and find groups that you could connect with, even if it's virtually. But so we've got group counseling, which you would need to be a client of the counseling center. But if your schedule allows it, it's a really wonderful way to build in self-care. Like, okay, each week I have to be at group Tuesday from 3 to 4:20. I'm just using our group, Christina. And then people end up really bonding in the group and feeling not alone in their journey, navigating just life and life as a college student. And a lot of times transfer students have lots of other things going on in their lives along with school. So there's therapy groups, but there's also support groups. And you don't need to be a client of the counseling center to join a support group. And the beauty of that is you can just register online. So let's say, and we're still updating the web page here, but let's say that you are interested in grief, which all of us have something to grieve because all of us have lost something, right? With COVID happening. This group actually meets Tuesdays from 6 to 7. But if you wanted to register for it, you could put in your name, your UID, email, and then that automatically registers you in the group. And this group is not just about death kind of loss, but loss of identity, loss of a relationship, loss of, in whatever way you feel like you've experienced a loss. And again, it's just a great place to connect with others. And believe it or not, there's a lot of laughter in there. There's crying, there's whatever shows up. But see, outreach, that's what we're doing today, is an outreach. There's all kinds of trainings, there's self-help. So if you clicked on that, you can see tons of different self-help types of resources. Diversity, diversity is absolutely fundamental, and each one of us is diverse if we look at the different identities that we hold. But yeah, let me stop sharing. Go back here.
And I was just going to add, I love our groups as a place to get some validation for some of the challenges that we go through. I think a lot of times we can feel alone or isolated, that we're the only ones that experience these challenges. Like we're the only ones questioning our religious identities. We're the only ones who felt like we've experienced loss. We're the only ones who feel like we've been discriminated in a predominantly white campus, whatever it might be. And I really love these groups as that sense of community and to hear from others who are also experiencing similar challenges. So we feel less alone in those concerns.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It kind of brings me to the question, I guess I'm curious to hear from folks of like, who do you think can benefit from counseling or some of these services that we talked about? Who do you think, should come into the center or does come into the center, I guess? Or when do you think you should come in?
What do y'all think?
I think everybody can benefit at different stages.
Exactly. The short answer is everyone, right? But yeah, I think kind of college is a time of stress. So if you're experiencing stress, these resources can be helpful. If you're feeling like mental health or any kind of challenges are impacting your ability to get schoolwork done, maybe how you're functioning in some of your relationships. I think someone had mentioned like not, I think Ash, maybe you had mentioned like not feeling grounded and kind of feeling kind of like your interactions aren't exactly where you want them to be when mental health challenges come up. That could be another great time to come in and get just some support. I think another time is just if you feel like it'd be helpful to talk to someone, we're here to talk to and to provide that support, to help motivate you to get something done if you need to get some schoolwork done or you need some motivation, considering potential careers, whatever it is. We're here to help really with all aspects of what's going on for you all.
We have a question in person.
Do you have a counselor who speaks Spanish?
So the question is if there was a counselor who speaks Spanish.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sí, tenemos varios.
It's Karen. Is at least one.
Segunda lengua es el inglés y no lo hablo muy bien, pero estoy interesada en buscar asesoría psicológica,
Sí.
pero creo que sería más fácil en español para mí.
Sí, claro que sí. Sí.
Mhm.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's much more comfortable if we can just speak in our first language, especially about emotions. Sí, porque a veces es mucho más fácil hablar de las emociones en el primer idioma que tenemos, ¿no? We also have Mandarin speaking
Oh,
therapists. I don't speak Mandarin. And Nihongo o skoshi hanashimasu. Paul, do you speak Japanese at all?
No, just Goshi, the same.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't do therapy in Japanese, but we do. Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? And if you're virtual and you don't want to say it out loud, you're welcome to put it in the chat as well, and I can
Yeah,
read it.
absolutely.
So I can read it as anonymously if you would like. So
And what were each of you expecting from this workshop? What made you decide, oh, I think I'll come to this workshop?
I was interested in looking for more information about the counseling that you offer and also the programs that you have to feel better while you are in the campus, while you are studying, while you are achieving your goal. That's why.
Just to get a moment of mindfulness in the day sounded pretty great to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm glad it wasn't just for the snacks, but the people online wouldn't be getting snacks anyway. So
always come to the orientation and transition office in Union 280 later. We have plenty of snacks. So I've had some students, actually it's fun from a previous workshop last semester. They watched it online and then when it over and people left, they came in and got the snacks. They were like outside apparently. So there's always that if you're worried about COVID. So,
that's a good point. Yeah.
and I think for me, I think it's always helpful to take like a break and have that mindfulness. I think being a transfer student is often very stressful. I don't know that it always gets brought up as being as stressful it is. So I thought this would be a great opportunity. And then again, this will be recorded. So people can come back if they had class or work and watch this as well and do. And then a couple of people came in after the mindfulness exercise. So I will post this on our orientation transition website so you can go and see it. And Karen showed plenty of places on the website where people can go. So hopefully this can be a resource that like, oh yeah, you can do. I really like that there's like a 1-minute mindfulness or a 2-minute mindfulness that, even if you're like, I can't take an hour, I can take 5 minutes. And so I hope that can be a resource for the students in attendance and who later watch it.
Yeah. And just definitely always remembering that you're not alone. And with COVID and the isolation that it could bring, sometimes it's very easy to feel like, I'm the only one. And if you can just remember, you are not the only one. And sometimes it's hard to reach out to others, but it's really important. And reaching out, sometimes the people that we've had in our support system might not be the best people to reach out to. And that's why it's really useful to know that there are other resources on campus, online too, but definitely access all the ones that are available to you as students. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you all know where we are located when we do get to go back in person?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah. If you say yes, please. So if you can say a little more.
It's in the Student Services Building, which is just to the west of the building that you're in right now. So if you're heading down the hill, you'll bump right into our building.
I'm funny.
And then the main office is located on the 4th floor. And if you have a crisis between 8 to 6 during non-break hours, you can actually walk in and you can be seen. You would be seen virtually, but you can walk in there, and we have a crisis room where then you would virtually connect with whoever is on crisis. So if you were on campus, needed a physical place to go to, please go there. Student Services Building, room 426. So you'd head over to the Student Services Building, go to the 4th floor, and then head south on the 4th floor. We're the last office on the south, or yeah, that'll make you get your compass out and find directions. Any other questions right now?
For me, no, thank you so much. I have to go to a class in 10 minutes. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope to see you.
Yes, thank you.
No questions. How about online? Got quiet a little bit.
Yeah, and we also do medication management if people feel like, I think medication could be helpful for whatever my condition is. Once you are a client of us and getting therapy, psychotherapy, and you just feel like, I think that to really maximize my mental health, or if you are living with a mental illness that needs medication, we can manage that as well. And it's very affordable compared to the community.
Any other questions?
I think I'm all set. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, please visit us, access our services. If you find you have questions later, just you could either reach out to Paul or Christina or me or anybody at the counseling center, quite frankly.